Well, good afternoon, Holy Trinity. This is Pastor Daniel coming at you one more time for the second video of this year's Stewardship series. Now, in the last video, we talked about all the wonderful successes and blessings that we have seen so far in 2023. We talked about increase in membership and participation at Sunday morning worship. We talked about expansion of events, fellowship gatherings, and things like that have occurred in 2023. We talked about more and expansion of events at outreach. We talked about additions and expansions of staff positions. We talked about the thrift shop having yet another banner year here at Holy Trinity. This place is growing, and that's the exciting news. There's a lot going on. There's new people coming to us every day, and this church is growing. And I am confident that that growth will continue in 2024 and the years to come. But now we need to talk about how we're going to handle that growth. Now, as I said in the last video, we've done a lot of facilities projects this year, and we're continuing to expand with some new facilities and needed updates for our site. And we already have a short list of sizable projects that we're going to engage upon in 2024. These are all things that we feel will continue to meet the growing needs of this church. But in this video, I really want to talk about investing in the future. You know, in the last video, I coined that 2022 was our return to normal. 2023 was a year of growth. But in this video, I want to talk about 2024 being an investment for the future. There's two specific areas that I think we at Holy Trinity need to have a serious talk about investing for the future. Now, don't get me wrong, there's probably many, many different ways in which we can invest for the future. But for the next year or so, I really see two that stand out for me. One of them is need for more space. As we grow and as church programming expands, we're going to need more space on campus to do things. The most obvious place to regain is the parish hall. Right now, the thrift shop operates out of the parish hall and also all of the downstairs classrooms. The thrift shop, if you didn't know, especially for those who are new to our community, it wasn't always in our parish hall and in the classrooms downstairs. It used to be in a piece of property just to the south, where the eye clinic now is. Holy Trinity sold that piece of property, and the thrift shop moved into the parish hall, and it's been there ever since. And I think now's the time to really take a hard look at how are we going to reclaim that space for church programming use. Now, of course, I'm not talking about shutting down the thrift shop. That is too integral for the success of the financials of this church. But it's also an amazing outreach. It funds a lot of our outreach programming, in fact, all of our outreach programmings, but also it unto itself is a major outreach back out into our community. So what I'm talking about is not downsizing the thrift shop or getting rid of the thrift shop. That is certainly not what we want to do. We want to figure out a way to reclaim the parish hall and classroom space for church use, while also carving out space for the thrift shop to not only maintain its current size, but to also potentially grow even further. So I'm happy to announce that we've actually hired an architect. Last month, we partnered with an architect whose sole job is to evaluate our property, look at what we have, look at available space, and propose back to us the most feasible option for a third building on campus. Where that building would go, how big it would be, what it would look like, is now all in the hands of this architect. And before the end of this year, they're going to propose back to us a new site plan of where this building could go and what it would look like. And that plan will be presented to church leadership. And then the church leadership get to review the plan. We may have to tweak it a little bit, but then we would have something to have a serious conversation about. We'll engage in a feasibility study to see, is this something we can actually do here at Holy Trinity? Because if it is, then it means we would be able to build that building, move the thrift shop over to the new building, and then renovate the parish hall and the downstairs classrooms for church use and church programming use. And that would fit the need for our future use of this site. As we anticipate the continued growth and expansion of this church, that's going to be very valuable space for us to do programming. But I think now's the time to act, because if we wait until we need the space 2 or 3 years from now when we're bursting at the seams, it'll be too late, because then it'll take another 2 to 3 years to build the building. Now's the time to begin that work. And I am happy to announce that we have taken the first big steps to do that. Now, I don't have any additional information for you because right now we're waiting on the architect to make the plan proposal back to us. But I am excited that probably early next year, we'll be able to present back to the church the findings of this new site plan and the feasibility. Is it possible for us to pull this off and build this new building so that not only we would be able to maintain the thrift shop and offer a new building in which that thrift shop could grow and thrive even more, but at the same time, regain the use of the parish hall and the classrooms downstairs for church programming use. So that's an exciting initiative. This is truly an investment for the future, and it's something that I and the church leadership are going to take a serious look at over this next year. And I'm hopeful that we will have some very exciting news for the congregation in the near future. The second place that I think we need to invest in the future is in the realm of a specific ministry: children, families, and youth. Now, this is a ministry that's near and dear to my heart because before I became ordained, I was a youth pastor at an Episcopal church over in Valrico. And it's something that I've been thinking about for a while. I know we needed to do it, but I wasn't sure on when we should start. So I'd been kind of waiting. The time feels right now. That now is the time that we make an investment in hiring the correct personnel to begin to grow a youth and families ministry here at Holy Trinity. A youth and families ministry is vital to the ongoing success of any church. And I think it's time that we have a serious talk about that here at Holy Trinity. Now, you may be looking around and going, well, why do we need a youth and family minister? We don't have barely any teenagers, and we just have a handful of small children. And to that question, I say, exactly. Because we need someone to come along and come on staff and help build that ministry. Quite often, and especially in the modern age, they don't build themselves. You have to have active people working to build that ministry and that segment of our church. And all the more in the modern era where church attendance is declining, especially amongst our youth and young families, you have to be even more intentional to build that kind of segment inside our church. So I'm talking about a full-time position because I believe firmly that if we hire a part-timer, it won't work. It requires far too much work, far too much time, and far too much effort to build a ministry with only part-time. So I'm convinced this is one of those things that we need to go for. We need to hire a full-time person to head up youth and families ministry here at Holy Trinity, because I think that gives us the best opportunity to succeed. Now, of course, that's an investment for the future, as I've been talking about. When we hire this person, we're not going to suddenly have a youth and families ministry. It's going to take time to build. We have to be patient, and we have to be in it for the long game to see those returns with youth and families being engaged at our church. That won't happen for several years. But again, just like with the building that I was talking about, if we wait 2 or 3 years from now, until maybe we get some more children and some more youth to then hire someone, we're going to be behind the curve. Whereas if we hire someone now, we would be able to build the program from this point. So in the future, when the families come, and I believe they will, we'll already have a program for them. These things take time to develop, which is why I believe now's the time to act. Now, this is where the pledging and the financials come into play. With the building that I was talking about, that's a little bit more of a long-term investment, and we've got a totally different financial strategy to head that up. And even if we decide to build the building, that will be a different conversation for a different day with regards to fundraising. But when it comes to this new youth and families minister position, that is solely dependent upon our revenues coming in from church membership, our pledging, and the contributions back to Holy Trinity from its membership. So that's why I'm challenging this church this year during our 2024 pledge campaign to really prayerfully discern your contribution and pledge for this next year, because once all those pledges come in, that's when we'll know if we have the financials ready to make a hire, to be able to hire someone full-time with all of the necessary benefits, and not only that, the resources needed to support a growing youth ministry. So that's my challenge back out to Holy Trinity. If this is something that you feel in your heart of hearts that now's the time to act, well then affirm that with contributions and a pledge, because we the church leadership need to know if you feel the same way that we feel, that now's the time to act to begin to hire a youth and families ministry. So once we get through this year and this pledge season, we're going to evaluate the financials and see if it's feasible to move forward with the hire. If it is, then we're going to have to go through the whole hiring process, put together a job description, probably do a large search because I feel also confident that we have to hire the very right person for this very unique work. Make the hire, bring them on board, and begin to engage in youth and families ministry. I do envision that this is a ministry for all ages. The new youth and families minister will help direct our Sunday school programs and maybe expand our Sunday school programs. They will have hopefully middle school and high school youth ministries that will eventually come to be, but also service parents and families, organizing intergenerational events. There's a lot of things that can happen with this position, and I'm truly excited that if the financials come to be this year for 2024, to be able to make that hire, I think this would be a major step for Holy Trinity, and it would also set us up for the future to be able to build this ministry and minister to this very, very critical sector in our community and in our country. When we think about all of the depression rates amongst our young people at an all-time high, and suicide rates are at an all-time high, I can't think of a segment within our community that needs the light of Christ and needs to be connected to a faith community more than ever. And having a full-time youth and families minister would be a major step in that direction. So those are the two initiatives, along with a lot of others that I said will likely come down the pike with all other sorts of programming and facilities updates. But the two biggies for 2024 that we're discerning are the site plan for an additional building so that we can reclaim the parish hall and the classrooms for church use, but also discerning, is it time to hire a youth and families minister here at Holy Trinity? So that's my video. I hope you're as excited as I am about the future of this church. As I said in the last video, there are so many wonderful things to be excited about here at Holy Trinity. And I think many of those are going to carry over into 2024. And we're going to have yet another year of expansion and excitement going on right here at Holy Trinity. So that's where I'll leave you. Thank you very much for watching to this video. I truly appreciate it. May God's blessings be with each and every one of you, and I will see you all soon on a Sunday morning. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the stewardship videos this year. You won't have to hear any more about it until next year. But until next year, say bye-bye, and I'll see you soon.